Okay, everybody, Sunday Adelaja here. Welcome for today's program. And who is the first person we're greeting today? Okay, Omoba. Well, welcome, Omoba. Crown Bondies, yes. Bill Muna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ride, nice to see you. Nice to see all of you. Nice to see each one of you. Agatha, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yep, welcome, welcome, welcome. Ahima, welcome. Emmanuel Edwin, Frank D, Olukayode, ID, Jacob Esson. Welcome, every one of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Regina, Yemi, Vincent. Well, please go tag your friends. Go tag your friends. Go invite your colleagues, your friends, your family members, all the people you care about. Mrs. Abiola Olojo is here. Welcome, everyone. We are going to have an exciting evening today because this book here is for people who love God, who want to serve Him, but unfortunately, who might have experienced all kind of doctrinal deceptions that is stopping that from happening. And so the book I have here is this one. It's called Pastor Face Your Calling. Pastor Face Your Calling. Then it says how believers can come out of the four walls of the church and bring relevance to the larger society. Because when I started, the story behind this book is that when I started to write, I mean, the Nigerians didn't know me. They only knew me as Pastor Sunday, but they didn't know what my whole life has been about here in the former Soviet Union. They don't know I'm not their traditional pastor. So when I began to talk about the events in Nigeria and I began to comment on the political realities of what was going on in Nigeria, and I began to, share my opinion, people began to comment and challenge me that, who are you? You are a pastor, face your business. So that is the cliche that people use in Nigeria to kind of, silence the believers and to lock them up in the four walls of the church or behind the four walls of the church. And so I discovered that it's a widespread mindset and a hugely popular mindset. Not just in Africa, by the way, but all over, even in America, but especially in the African church. Why did you pick this book? There are so many other books I'm sure you have read, but why this particular book? Why did you decide? This is Pastor Niran from New York. Why did you decide to comment on this? Because this is a strange book. I've not seen any other person who has read it yet.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your platform, sir, to talk about this book. First of all, I was watching I think you did a New Year's Day program where you were advertising all the books that you were showing, and that book jumped at me. It jumped at me to the point that I knew that I was going to be the one to do the review on that book on that day. So I was able to, so that for some reason it just came to me, and I just decided that, you know what, I should read this book. I believe that the Lord was leading me to read that book. So I read the book.
You are actually the first person that I know who has read the book.
Wow. Maybe it's because pastors are scared. I have a feeling that pastors are scared to know what DSS is going to say. But for me, I see you as someone that has wisdom that you have to be able to learn to see if there's new ways of doing ministry. So it's just something that jumped out at me, and I read the book. So
you are not scared. You are not scared to take a hold of that book.
I'm not scared to take a hold of the book because it triggered my curiosity. So I decided, okay, let me read it. and it's a very, very important book that not just pastor, I know it says, and I think also maybe the reason why people don't read because it says pastor, face your calling. So they think the book is just for pastor, but the book is not just for a pastor. It's for every single Christian, everyone that, just like you said, everyone that loves God and wants to fulfill the purpose on the earth. That is an important book. So I believe also because it says pastor, face your calling.
So maybe we should change the name of the book, to the title of the book, to something like "Brother, Face Your Calling."
But I like the title. The title is good.
Okay.
But everyone just needs to understand that because it says pastor doesn't mean you shouldn't read the book.
Okay. But then why do you call it important book?
I call it an important book because it opens our eyes, because there, just like you said, there's a stereotype of a pastor. A pastor's job is just to stay in the four walls of the church. I never saw church as solving problems in a nation before. I never saw church as having such influence to change the culture. I've always saw church as a place where people come together, worship God, hear the sermon, and then they go home.
You have to say that again, please.
I never saw church as being able to influence a culture, a nation. I've always seen church as a place where we come together to worship God, give your tithes, give your offering, do one or two services in the church, and then the pastor will pray for you and go home. That's how I view church. That's how I've seen church all my life. So,
are there many people like you out there?
99% of Christians are like that. Because this book will change your whole theology, your whole thinking, to really understand that, wow, we have missed it all these years. So it's
but it's about the culture. The whole gospel is about the culture. It's not about building at all.
No, we relegate it to just ourselves for my life being changed. So we didn't see it as changing a city or changing a whole community. It's more like a personal thing. I come to church, I hear the sermon, I go back home, and then I come back next week again. So that's why I said that this book is very important for us to really, because we have been missing it all these years, thinking that we are doing church.
So because some people are commenting, I'm reading now, people are saying, we all think like that.
Yes. We all think like that. And if you listen to anyone's, pastors will scold you for not coming to church. If you don't come to church, if you don't come to church on Sunday, maybe you can't come to church during the week, you get scolded. Even I used to scold some of my church members for not coming to church during the week. We'll classify them as not being serious with God because they didn't come to church. Because that's our view of, we must come to church, hear Bible study, maybe worship service, and then return home and then wait till next week, come back next week. Nothing to do with you going to your place of work and affecting change in the community. So that's why when you went to Nigeria, people were lambasting because it's not done. It's not done. So that's why people were after you, because they have never seen it done before. Why is the pastor talking about what's happening in Nigeria? In the election. Let the election. So that's why let
the election take care of itself.
Just pray. Just be in the room praying that the right person will go in. That you shouldn't really hear your views. I had those views. Just go and pray, and whoever makes it, let them run their town, not knowing that we had a role to play in society.
No, you don't just have a role to play. We are supposed to be the shakers and builders and movers, and we are the ones to build and shape the society. Yes, but
that's not the way church has been done. It's more about just come to the church is more boxed in. It's in a we even though we talk about, and the funny thing is that we talk about going outside the four walls, Because I think that you more or less started that move from your book called Church Shift. But even though we talk about moving out of the four walls, we are still in those four walls. So we don't talk about anything that has to do with election. We don't talk about any problem that's happening in our city. We don't even touch it. So the churches of today is the model of the church today is all the Nigerians in one city will all gather together. And many pastors believe that model is church growth. If you ask them if their church is growing, yes, it's growing. It's growing. Because I have 200 people, but majority of them are Nigerians. And in this, like for instance, where I was originally from, where I was originally pastoring, not all of them were Nigerians in that city. But a lot of churches will gather Nigerians together, and they will come to the conclusion that they have succeeded, not knowing that we have not really done anything.
But even Nigerians were not the majority in that city.
Yes.
Nigerians will be less than 10%.
Yes. You are the only one. You are the only one that I know. Because the truth is, unless we're lying to ourselves, majority of Nigerian churches, African churches succeed in gathering their own people. They cannot gather. They can maybe one or two whites will show up in their church, but that's about it. So we are just gathering together. To me, we are just playing church. If you read this book, you will understand that I have been playing church. Not knowing that we have a job to do. We are needed in the society to bring about relevant change. Not knowing that our voice matters. Not knowing that our opinion matters. So this book is an eye-opener. To me, it's an eye-opener. And everyone should go and get a copy of this book.
Now, I want you to repeat those points again. Because I don't know how shocked you are when you are reading the book, but I am more shocked listening to you now.
Yes.
That even you, being a pastor, and you've pastored for 10 years or something?
Yes.
And you never knew that the jurisdiction of the church is to be changing the culture.
No. I never knew that the church is there to affect that surrounding. I never saw it like that. I saw it as the church is there to affect just the people in the congregation. Just affect them. Just affect their life and let them go. And they have to just and they have to keep coming back. Yes, we talk about evangelism. Like, okay, go out and evangelize and bring them to church so that the church will grow. So that's basically the concept of the church now. Not seeing how it can affect the community, the city, even the nation. So it's more about affecting your life, getting your miracle, helping you. I mean, we talk about purpose. Not that we don't talk about purpose, but it's not real much emphasis on your purpose or that you have a calling outside of church. I was reading this book and I was just scratching my head that, so you mean I have a calling outside of church? That we have a calling outside of church. We thought that we just do our job. Or even me as a pastor, I thought I wasn't doing full-time ministry, but I thought that I would just go to work, do my job, bring the money to church so that the church will have money to do what it needs to do. Not knowing that I was supposed to go out there, even as a pastor, that, a lot of pastors, they just stay in their church office. They pray, they study, and preparing for Wednesday service or Friday service, not looking for any problem that they themselves also can solve. So this book
I want you to give me a list of maybe 5, maybe 10 things that are just different. And I want you to make a comparison like this. Like the way we know church is that you come to church.
Okay.
But this book is saying this. Or do this book is saying this, but this is the way we do it. So what are those shocks? What are those surprises? What are those major differences, conflicts in your worldview and paradigm that is being challenged in this book? Maybe just a list of them randomly as they come to you.
Okay, a list of them. I said it now is that a pastor should be involved.
No, that is what you got. You tell us what you are talking about. Are you talking of the book now, or you are talking of your own understanding?
I'm talking about my own understanding.
Okay.
My own understanding is that a pastor should have an office, bookshelf, nice little looking office, and he should be there. And his job is just to counsel. Is to counsel as people have their problem. They come in, they counsel, he prays for them, and then they go home and they come and come to church, give their testimony. So that was my concept. I didn't know that just as everyone else is doing something, I as a pastor need to go out and solve a problem, find a problem in the community and solve it. That I can have the ability to solve the problem of maybe the problem in education, or I can go into the business world and affect the change even as a pastor, or I can even be into politics as a pastor. I thought that pastors, another thing I saw that shocked me is pastors and politics. I never saw those things coming together. You hear pastors talk about world events, but I never saw pastors and politics on the same sentence. I hardly hear any pastors address anything that has to do with politics. So that one too was a big shocker for me. That a pastor is talking about this is the guy I want in, So that one really shook my whole theology. It's pastor and politics, and also every Christian is a minister. I never saw that every Christian is a minister. I thought every Christian is a Christian, but I didn't see them as a minister. I didn't see them as a minister. So I saw Christians as people that come, they give their life to Christ, and they're growing in the knowledge of God. And yes, in their place of work, their job is just to go out there, win souls, and bring them to church. But I never saw them as an avenue for them to bring change.
Even you as a pastor don't see them that way?
Even me, no.
You don't see them that way?
I don't see them that way. I see them in a way of saving souls, like God using them in that dimension. But I never see them in them affecting or bringing a solution to the problem that they have.
No, that the society has.
The society has, yes. I saw it more as, okay, maybe if their neighbor had a problem with their marriage, or if they are sick, they're able to lay hands on them to be healed, or maybe bring that person to the pastor to do it. They can't do it. So that's how I saw that. So that one really shaped my whole theology.
So you didn't know that the basic and the primary assignment of a pastor is to actually equip every church member to go and be a revolutionary, a savior, and a deliverer, not to individual unbelievers only, but to the lifestyle, and to the culture, and to the mindset, to the worldview of the whole society at large, be it in politics, be it economics, be it in social lifestyle, changing the whole concept of culture. That is what church members are for.
No, I never saw it like that. I saw it in that the pastor is supposed to equip the saints for the work of ministry.
That's what I'm talking about now.
But I didn't see it at that level of affecting a culture. I saw it in the level of just affect their life, so that one will go out and affect their life, and they will just bring them to church, and then that's how it will go like that. Not knowing that the church can really affect a whole culture. So I never saw it like that. I saw it as changing one life.
You said something that you didn't know, that Christians were full-time ministers.
I see them as full-time Christians, but not full-time ministers.
You didn't see them as ministers?
No, I saw them as full-time Christians. I believe that they should go out, reflect Christ and all that, but I didn't see them as full-time ministers. That's why I said that a lot of what we do today is whenever members don't come to church during the week, we scold them for not coming. No, if I knew that they're full-time ministers, I should be able to release them go and do whatever it is they're doing.
And encourage them.
Yes, and encourage it. But a lot of pastors are working against that. And they believe that when their members don't come to church during the week, it's because they're not serious with God. Not knowing that they are full-time ministers. So I never saw it.
But how do pastors reason? I don't understand. If you say you are not the only one thinking like this, and that most Christians think like this and pastors, then what is the understanding of Christians coming to the church building? How can you translate that to mean ministry? How are they ministering where they are? Just by coming to sit down?
I think that the emphasis is just on, just like you said in the book, the gospel of salvation. That is that's what's being emphasized. That's what I never preach the gospel of kingdom. I preach the gospel of salvation. So the emphasis was just get them saved, get them cleaned, get them established in God, and then they can go out and then they can bring people to church. So that was the model that I have. It's not until just recently I'm now being introduced to the gospel of the kingdom that we are supposed to take. We carry God to our spheres of influence. So I never saw it in that dimension. I saw it as I was saved. So now I get myself established in the things of God, in the word of God, and I now go out and now affect another brother, another sister. So that's how I saw it on that level. And I believe that a lot of pastors see it in that realm. That much of what we call kingdom is not really kingdom. It's still the gospel of salvation that's been emphasized. So that's the way I saw it. So it's not until the kingdom message, I began to see the kingdom message, and I see wow, we have limited ourselves for so long, that there's so much influence that the church could have made, but we're just emphasizing the gospel of salvation. So that I think that's what keeps a lot of pastors back. That we really don't have a clear understanding of the gospel of the kingdom. And I believe that for instance, I've been in church for over 20 years. So I've heard it over and over and over. So in a way, it's ingrained in me. In a way, it's part of me. It's what I saw, the pastor that was under is what I saw him do. And it's what I see the pastor on the television doing. And it's what I see, it's what I hear on Facebook all day. But then it's like God has just raised up someone else that is now saying something different that we need to begin to listen to, so that we can really affect a real change in our time.
Keep on telling us about some of the other shocks that you would like us to experience from just reading this book.
Okay, the other shock is, I just said it right now, that we are preaching the gospel of salvation instead of preaching the gospel of the kingdom. I am guilty of this. I've been preaching the gospel of salvation. Get saved. You'll be hammering on people the point of being saved, get saved. Jesus is coming very soon. Jesus better give your life to Christ. He may not come. You may miss his coming. So I was emphasizing salvation instead of emphasizing the kingdom. Instead of emphasizing Christ. Instead of emphasizing his principles and taking those principles to your sphere of influence. Another shock was, even though it was not really in the book, but it's kind of in the book. I saw I didn't really see our places of work of a place of expressing God. Even though we carry God, even though I know we carry God, even though I know that God indwells every single one of us, but I didn't see that it's not until recently that I discovered that we're supposed to manifest his nature. We're supposed to manifest his way of doing things. That we're supposed to be a difference maker wherever we go. So I never saw it that way. I always saw it as us being the light, getting one person saved, telling them preaching them the importance of Christ. That's how I saw it. So it's the gospel and other things that I didn't see that every Christian is sent into the world to affect a sphere of influence. I never saw a Christian that every single Christian is sent into the world. Even though the Bible says we are the light of the world, I believe that I've preached it many times, but that phrase, we are the light of the world, carries new meaning. That we are the light of the world. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to, every single believer is a light to his world. That means that you are light to people groups. You are light to whoever. So wherever God places you, you are supposed to be a light. And anywhere you see light speaks of influence. So, but I saw it as, yes, Jesus is on the inside of us. We just shine our light, and people ask us, and then we tell people our own testimony of how God did this miracle for us, did that miracle for us. But I never saw it as that I'm supposed to affect a change in wherever I am. That my place of work is a place to affect change. And also I was really moved because I watched one of your
interviews.
You did a message on when the kingdom left the church. I was like, wow. And you talked about how that nobody in your church goes evangelism.
Nobody. We don't do
evangelism. Nobody in your church.
We don't do evangelism.
Majority of churches have time of evangelism. Every church, majority of churches I know of, they have time of evangelism.
Now, so therefore, you explain to them why is it that our church doesn't do evangelism?
Because you train everyone to discover their sphere of influence. That the job of every pastor is to train them to discover their sphere of influence. And then this is another shocker, that you want to send them out of the pews. You don't want them to remain in the pews. You want to send them out.
Because nobody has a calling to the pew.
Nobody has a calling to the pews. Everyone has a calling to the world. So I was so amazed that, wow. Because many of times we want people to stay in the pews. Because we want a church to be full. So then we do that
But that is working on for your ego.
Yes.
It means the pastors are more concerned about their ego.
Ego, yes.
Their own image than the expansion of the kingdom.
No, but I believe that they believe that that's the way. So I believe that's the format that everyone believes that's right. That they need to come and hear you. They need to come and hear. They need to come and hear you.
Are you the only one who they carry? Are you the only one carrying the kingdom? All those people who are supposed to be coming to hear you too, they are also carrying kingdom now.
Yes.
So why should their own kingdom inside of them be redundant? Just sitting down there to listen to you alone as if you are the only one the kingdom was given to carry.
No, the belief is the pastor is the one that is called to the
other people. All of us other people, they are not called. If they are not called, why were they sent here to the world to become listeners?
And that's why in church people are fighting for who's going to lead prayer. People are going to fighting on who's going to lead worship, because they think that is serving God. They think they are serving God by singing, by leading prayer. So we have really
because they have been reduced to that small four square.
To that four wall.
Yeah, instead of them to be released into everybody has his own sphere. Instead of the pastor to help each one of them discover their own sphere and be released there and empowered there. So there will be no competition in the church. Nobody is going to be fighting for anything in the church in that sense.
And I think I also read somewhere where if you see a pastor that has the gift of God, you will always send him out. You will send him out.
Yes.
And you will send him out. And not only will you send him out, he doesn't even have to use your ministry name.
No,
you just send him out, whatever name he wants to use, and you will empower him to go there and do. So there's no infighting among the church. Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of pastors breaking away, starting their own ministry, and there's a lot of infighting among the church. So it really opens our eyes that we are supposed to send people out, not keep people in. That what we have, the structure that we have today is keeping people in. To, like you said, to make us feel good, to make us feel proud. And also, what also shocked my theology is the definition of success in ministry. In the sense that we think that our success in ministry is because our church is full. Many pastors believe that, even myself, I've changed, but I used to believe that when your church is full, you have arrived. That you are there, you are the pinnacle of success.
Are you serious? No, it's not possible.
Ask everyone, they will tell you.
Are you serious?
Even members of churches will be happy when their church is full.
But what has that got to do with it?
No, because they believe that that the more people come to listen to them, the more that okay, the bigger it is, the better it is. That's why for instance, when people are praising you, they're praising you because how big your church is. So they're like, if back in the day, if I was going to invite you to our church to come and minister, I'll be telling them your pedigree. Oh, you pastor 2,000, or there's 20,000 people membership in your church. So that's like part of the pastor's resume. So and the pastor's like, yes, we thank God. God is doing it, you know. So, but you let people that is just a seed for true impact. That if you have just 100, that God has given you a seed for you to truly impact that surrounding. That through your church, you were able to, I can't remember the exact number right now, but you were able to impact millions. That through
on yearly basis, our church, the seed that comes to the church, they are the ones that are supposed to be every week be sown in their spheres of influence. So in a year, minimum our church influences 5 to 7 million people in a single year. Touch one-on-one, they touch, that they interact with the kingdom, who get saved, and who are being taught, who are being helped, who are being manifested. The kingdom is being manifested to them one way or the other. So what would they say I did? What about me now? That we have 45 churches in Kyiv here, and I don't even go to church to preach any Sunday, or maybe once a month I go. I live there. I don't even go to preach. People gather. I'm with 10 people, 15 people training them. So they will probably think I've lost it.
They'll say I've lost it. That's the wrong concept, because like you see a lot of our GOs, a lot of our pastors, they preach they have to preach every Sunday. If they don't preach every Sunday, it can't happen. Like for instance, when I heard that you only go to church one Sunday, I'm like, so you mean he only goes to church on one Sunday? What about the other Sundays?
Let the other people manifest their gifts. Let them, discover themselves. Yeah.
So it's like pastors have an ownership mentality that we own the flock, we own the pulpit, that nobody else can do it better than me. Nobody else can do it better than me. Grant you that there are some churches that I know that the pastor invites other people to come into his church and minister, but we have this ownership mentality that we own people, that people must tell us where they are going. If they're traveling, they must come to see you and tell you where they're going, why they are going, how long will it be. Don't you know that is the kingdom? We have elevated the church to the place of the kingdom. Not knowing that the church is not a major part of the kingdom. So the pastor, just like the series that you did on the church of paganism in the church, that the truth of the matter is, in some cases we are actually worshiping our pastors. Our pastors are celebrities in church. That if anything happens in your life, you have to run to your pastor. We don't train our members that, listen, you carry God, that you need to have a relationship with God. There's always an emphasis on how great the pastor is, how anointed the pastor is, how we must go and see the pastor. The service can't start without the pastor. So this church of today is centered on the pastor and the pastor alone, that you must come to church and hear my pastor.
So where is God or Jesus?
But the truth is,
he's at the back somewhere.
He's only operating through the pastor. And we have elevated. The truth is, we have elevated the fivefold. We don't really understand what the fivefold ministry gifts is. We think that it's all about me. The truth of the matter is, in what we have in our church today, that it is all about me. It's all about the pastor. It's all about the fivefold ministry. It's all about which one of the fivefold ministry are you. So we have elevated the fivefold ministry, and we have more or less deflated everyone else. So they think that they cannot do anything without their pastor. So we have not trained people well enough to become God carriers. That inside of you there's a solution. That inside of you are someone's heart cry. Someone's crying for you out there. But we have kept people in. There's one story in the book that really touched me, when a man came A man had the solution of housing problem.
Yeah.
He had the solution of housing problem. So he went to his pastor and said, Pastor, this is I have the solution of the housing problem. And he said that he should drop that he should come and become a pastor. He will ordain him.
Assistant pastor.
Then guess what? He abandoned what is in his heart to go and become a pastor.
What he was created for.
Yes. For now, it's not until now. After 5 years later, he now discovered you, and now he was able to now venture into. And I was saying to myself, wow, how many times have we as pastors killed the solutions that people that God has placed inside of them? That in a way we are working against the purpose of God.
Ooh.
In a way we are working against the mind of God, and we think that we are doing ministry. This is real ignorance. And I came to a place where I understand that reason I was operating in ignorance. I didn't know. I was just going by what others were doing. And the truth of the matter is that every one of us, we are simply just copying what each other is doing. So if one person does this, we are doing it. If one person does that, is doing it. If one person is doing this, we are doing it. We have yet to discover God for ourselves. We have yet to discover what God wants us to do and how He wants us to do it. We are simply doing what everyone else is doing. So that was a real shocker. Then also it opened my eyes. I won't say it was a shocker, but it opened my eyes that we all celebrate Martin Luther King, but we need to understand that he was a pastor.
You see?
He was a pastor, and then guess what? He didn't just remain in his pulpit. That every pastor should not just sit in his pulpit. That every pastor should go out and do something. Go out and affect the sphere of influence. Change the culture. Every pastor should go out and change the culture. That you shouldn't limit your God to just your congregation. When I saw that passage, my eyes went wide. That I was limiting God to just the people in front of me. That I was limiting my God. That wow, so you mean that I'm supposed to think bigger than the people that are before me? That you think that when I'm just limiting myself to just the church, I'm limiting God to just who I see before me. So, like I said, Martin Luther King was an activist, and he was able to bring change. And that change, we are reaping the benefits today to the place that Obama became one of the first black presidents in America. So let us know that there is more to our calling. And the truth of the matter is, deep down inside, I believe everyone has a desire. I had a desire. I knew there had to be more, but I didn't know. There had to be more to just go to church, pray, and counsel. There need to be more than that. There need to be more than that, because the truth of the matter is, if we go out into our world, if you go out in our places of work, if you go out into the communities, people are sad, people are hungry, people are dying inside, and we carry this light, but yet we have boxed it into the four corners of the church. We don't know how to take it out. The truth is, I didn't know how. We know that we're supposed to preach the gospel to the ends of the earth. We know that we're supposed to take the gospel of the kingdom, but we didn't know how. Because why? Ignorance is killing us. Ignorance is plaguing the pastors, and the pastors are only passing that ignorance to their own members. So therefore, the church of today, the challenge of the church of today is a church of ignorance. So this book will help you to open your eyes, to see to have a bigger view, have a bigger vision, to see the possibility of your nation changing, to see the possibility of your nation changing. And then also this book helped me I also saw the problem of the Nigerian church. Nigeria boasts of having half of the population of Nigeria are Christians. So that means on Sunday, half of the country is in church. So the possibility for us to affect the culture in Nigeria is possible if the church is really doing what it should be doing. So when DSA says that we have no church in Nigeria, he knows what he's saying. Because why? The church is not doing what it should be doing. If the church is doing what it should be doing, there should be then Nigeria should have no corruption problem. If the church is doing what it should be doing, then the problem of the electricity should have been solved. If the church is doing what it should be doing, there should be infrastructure. But the reason why, because the church has been reduced to a place of us just coming to the church. And also another thing that really shocked me in this is that we are the church. We are not the church. The world is not supposed to come to the church. The church is supposed to go to the world. That the church is not supposed to, that we are emphasizing, bring people to church, bring people to church. But we are supposed to be emphasizing, and that comes with the kingdom message, that we are supposed to take the kingdom message to go into the world. That's why it says, go ye into all the world, and which I said is an eye-opener of that we are to go into all the world. We are to go into all the world and affect the culture, affect the society. So so you can look at the Nigerian church and see, if you read that book, Pastor Fraser Collins, you will understand that the church in Nigeria has failed. It doesn't matter how big the churches are in Nigeria. It doesn't matter how anointed the pastors are in Nigeria. The churches in Nigeria has not succeeded. They have failed. And it's time for us as pastors, as Christians, to rise up and affect a change in our community, affect a change of culture, that what we have been doing is not working. How we have been doing it is not the right way. So we need to humble ourselves to the place so that we can go and really bring great revival to our time. So that's what I got. That's what I got. So we shouldn't lock up ourselves anymore. We need to go out.
So the fact that the society in Nigeria is getting worse and worse, and everybody is saying the government is to blame.
The government is not to blame, it's the church. The government is, because locked up in some of these churches are people that can bring change to the government.
And they are locked up.
And they are locked up. Some of them are even locked up with title. They are giving them, they are buried them with the title of a pastor.
Just like that story we are talking about now, this man has the solution to be able to provide houses for at least 40 million Nigerians at cheap price that everybody will be able to afford it. Even a person selling at the roadside can afford it, can afford to pay for a house by the transfer of technology and the know-how that God gave this guy. But the pastor told him to forget about it. It is not spiritual. It is not spiritual. It is not anointed. So why should you be going to do housing for people? That's not God's calling. So he made the guy to forget about the invention and made him to go and become a pastor. So they gave him a title to lock him up and kill his destiny and kill the solution. So that is in the same manner, the person and the people who are supposed to provide the electricity problem solution to the electricity problem in Nigeria, they are locked up in the churches. The people who are supposed to provide a technological and industrial solution and industrial revolution to the problem of Nigeria and to explode the economy and make the economy go, they are locked up in the church with some titles. The people who are supposed to be building the economy, who are supposed to bring the dignity of labor, they are locked up in the churches because they are going to pray in the mountains. Yeah. So when now people brag and say they have 1 million people or they have all these millions in their churches, they are not knowing that what they're actually saying is that we have succeeded in decapitalizing us, all these people that God has created with solutions. We have succeeded in stripping them of their destiny. We have succeeded in locking their destiny up in the four walls of the church. We have succeeded in ruining their calling, and we have succeeded in bringing the country, the nation to our knees, just because we have been able to build a plantation, a big plantation that we call church, which is actually a slave camp. And that is why all the people are not being released to go and fulfill their calling, but now all of them are working to fulfill my calling.
Yes.
So this book, do you think this book could actually open the eyes of Christians and Christianity to what Christianity really means?
Honestly, this book can open the eyes of this book. First of all, the eyes of pastors need to open.
Okay.
Because the eyes of pastors need to open to see what their really calling is, to help their members to discover to discover their calling.
Okay.
You know, their calling, and then also to be able to send them out. Because if pastor thinks that church is just about, just like you said, gathering people together and having big numbers, and feels that is success, then we are indirectly working against the purpose of God. Ooh. We're indirectly, and then we think that we are doing the work of God when we are not. So the problem is not, the devil is not really the problem.
Ooh.
It is, the devil is not really the problem. Is that we, in our ignorance, are working against God.
But you have to explain that further. What do you mean working against God? That could offend a lot of Nigerians. So you have to explain to them, what do you mean?
Now, think about it. God has placed the solution. God has placed the desire in man. And now the person is now coming to you and saying, Pastor, this is what is in me. Instead for you to release him and release whatever resources that you have to be able to help him to bring it about, you are more or less telling him, don't do it. Come, take a title of pastor. And you are killing it. You are killing the purpose of God. And then indirectly, you are killing the lives of people that could be influenced by it. The people's lives that could become better now are not becoming worse. When someone is in your church, all he's doing is just standing beside you carrying your Bible. When he should be out there doing what God has already placed in him to do. We are reducing the lives of people. We're bringing them down. We're bringing them down. So therefore, you are working against God. Because it's God that placed that desire in man. So if they're saying this is what I want to do, and you're saying, no, don't do it because you're not going to have time to come to church during the week, then you are working against the purpose of God.
So
then
go ahead.
Then you're making it all about yourself. You're making it all about, and what they're doing is you're making it all about your empire. You are not building God's kingdom. You are building an empire for yourself that makes you look good. Instead of God being glorified, He's not being glorified. You are the one being glorified. So it is So if we are doing that, then it's the pastor being glorified. It is the pastor looking good. You know, when a church is full, who gets the praise? It's not really God that gets the praise. It's the pastor. The pastor is so good. He's so talented. Whereas there are people out there that should be in the healthcare sector, bringing change. Where there are people out there that should be running for the Senate or running to become the governor, but they are being held by being the leader of one group or another in the church. So it's to let us know that we are working against God, but we don't know. But the reason why we are doing that is not that we are evil. It's not like an evil kind of term. It is our ignorance. Our ignorance, therefore, is killing us. So therefore, we must do something as it pertains to our ignorance. Like I said, I didn't know this. I thought that it's just get people to come, get them saved, and then let them go to their place of work and let them bring more people to the church. But now that I know, guess what? I now know that I have the problem I have is not a devil problem. The problem I have is an ignorance problem. So I believe that if we can solve that ignorance problem through this book will help you to solve that ignorance problem. And when that ignorance problem is solved, then you will no longer look at your church at how many people. You will never, even if there are 5 people there, but the rest of them are out there doing something, you are happy because you know they are doing what God has placed in them to do. Even though you come to church and your church maybe boasts 1,000, but maybe it's 100, you are excited because you know that the kingdom is being extended, that cultures are being changed. So you no longer derive success by how many people come to your church on Sunday. You derive success by how the kingdom is being expanded through that your church. So that's how we need to see church. But that can only be cured through our ignorance. The greatest problem the church is facing today is a problem of ignorance.
So for example, you were telling me that before, you as a pastor, that your goal was to fill up the church. But right now, from this book, and from what you are saying now, from what you come to understand now, the real truth is that the more crowd you fill your church with that are not being released and empowered into their promised land, the more danger you put yourself in really before God.
Yes.
Because the more destiny you have, enslaved,
yes, you are,
and the more destiny you have crushed and you have stopped. So the more guilt. So the ones that have little number of people and small number of people in their congregation, they are less guilty because they are damaging less destinies. I don't know if you'd like to comment on that.
Yeah, because if you have a church and you are emphasizing numbers and this is a great number of people. Think about it. If you have a church of 1,000 and you are keeping 1,000 people from going into their community or their surrounding to solve a problem.
Their spheres of influence.
That means that what God has placed in them, they are not doing it. What God has placed in them, and the people that they are supposed to reach will remain where they are. And then now, what is even worse is that now God is now using atheists. He's now using Muslim, because if we are not going to do it, God will give it to someone else. If you take a look at those that are making great, if you take a look at those that are doing that are the innovators, those that are into technology, it's not really Christians. Majority of them are in churches, but now so therefore God has given it to those that will do it, because we are being distracted by church. We are being distracted by church activities, not knowing that our real activity is in the world. Our real activity is out there. Now also, until we go out there and do the real activity, God is not really pleased. Now all that we are celebrating in our church, we shouldn't be celebrating. What we should be celebrating is that we are going out to effect a change in our generation. We are going out to effect a change of culture. We are going out to effect a change. So that's what we should be elevating. So if you have a church of many, that means your impact should be much. If you have a church of few, that means you should still have some level of impact. So it shouldn't be about, and which is what many pastors are competing about, who has the biggest church. Which is that when you read that book, you understand that is irrelevant. It's not about how it's about you affecting your culture. It's not about who has the biggest church. It's not about how many people are in your church. It's about whoever you have before you. You are telling them you are helping them to identify their sphere of influence, and you are sending them out. That you don't want them to sit comfortably in your pews. You send them out to do something.
But what you are saying now, especially with this point you are making about the atheists and the Muslims and the unbelievers, that is exactly what Jesus said, though. Because he said, if you who believe in me will not bring the fruits of the kingdom. The whole purpose of the kingdom is to bring forth the fruit of the kingdom. If you will not bring the fruit of the kingdom, he said he will give it. He will take the kingdom from you. Not the church. You keep the church. Yes. But I will take he will take the kingdom from you and give it to those who will bring the fruits of the kingdom. Is that, can you relate that to what you've just said?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. That we are supposed to do it, but we are locked up with our prayer meetings, locked up in our Bible studies, locked up in our sermons. Listen, I'm not saying that is bad, but all that should help us to go out there and be effective. That means everything we do in church should help us to go out so that people are effective. But the truth of the matter is, what we are doing in church is making us irrelevant. It's making us ineffective.
Instead of empowering.
Instead of empowering. So we are not really empowered. We're more or less just and we're just energizing ourselves. We're just giving ourselves a little thrill in church.
No, it's stimulating yourself.
Yes. So instead of us empowering people to go out and go out and extend the kingdom, and that we are supposed to bring fruits of the kingdom. So therefore, since we are not doing it, then God is not taking it from the kingdom from us, and then we are still having our church, we're still having our service, we are still jumping up and down, singing, dancing, and all that stuff, and God has now taken it and he has given it to Muslims. And instead of us being the leaders of our time,
we are now at the beckon of call of the Muslims, of the atheists. Instead of us building industries, they are the one building industries. And then we are begging them for a job. And then we come to church and testify that God has given me a job. Instead of us being the ones to be the job creators, instead of us to want to move the economy the right way, we are more or less killing the economy. And God is now saying, okay, well, these ones are not ready. These ones are not doing it. These ones are not bringing fruit of the kingdom. I'm not going to take it to them. Take it to those that will bring the fruit of the kingdom to me. So we have abandoned our place in society. We have left it vacant, and God is calling us through this book to take back our place, to take back our position, to take back our society as we understand that we are not supposed to be in the pews. We are not supposed to be locked up in the church. You are not supposed to be locked up on a title. That you have a sphere of influence that God has placed a desire inside of you. That we as a church, we as individuals need to go out and do it. We need to go out at the time is not really on our side, that we need to go out and do it. We need to have a clear understanding of what our mission here on earth is, and then go out to fulfill it. So as a pastor, we are not just limited to our pulpits. And as members, you are not just limited to the pews. So as a member, you are not just limited to just singing in the church. Or you're not just limited to just ushering people to their seats. Or you're not just limited to cleaning the church. You're not just limited to driving the pastor around. You are not just limited to carrying the pastor's bag or being the pastor's assistant. That there is more to you. There's a problem in you to solve. There's a problem inside of you. That the solution to the nation, the solution to the problem Nigeria is facing is locked up in the church. So we shouldn't be celebrating what we see on television, that, oh, these guys gather, look at how many people are gathered in the church. If they are not going out to affect, if they are not going out to affect their culture, then they are doing nothing. They are just wasting their time. So many of what we are
not just wasting their time, but they are actually bringing evil. They are the ones responsible for lack of electricity. They are the ones responsible for lack of road. They are the ones responsible for lack of hospitals. They are the ones responsible for lack of progress. They are the ones responsible for the poverty. They are the ones responsible for the evil. So it's not just like they are wasting time. They are destructive forces.
Yes.
Because they are destroying destinies, and they are holding back the destinies and the progress of individuals and nation at large.
Yeah, they are destroying. They are destroying the nation. It's honestly, when you really read this book, you really get to sit back and really think that, wow. You know, for me, it's like, so for the past 10 years, I've missed it. People, I mean, you might have been in church many people have been in church for years, and what do we really have to show for it? What do we really have to show for our time on earth? People may say that you have succeeded, but in God's eye, we have not succeeded. We've done nothing.
But on the other hand, when you come to Ukraine, and you've been to Ukraine, I mean, people who are in church for 2 years, 1 year, half a year, they have so much result. Tell people about that one. I mean, it's so easy to do.
When I came to Ukraine, I was shocked to see how people said. I mean, the testimonies that you were here of, oh, I was a drug addict. I was in drugs for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but now I open up a rehabilitation center where people are coming to get cleaned. So you see testimonies of people that were changed through someone rising up and taking a sphere of influence. That someone having a desire. Oh, God has placed this desire in my heart, and I'll rise up. And this is what I'm doing. I was once into this, but now I am doing this for God. So what I noticed when I came to Ukraine is that everyone has something they are doing. Not everybody is come to church to hear pastor and go back. Not what we are doing here in the West. They are not doing in Ukraine. What they are doing in Ukraine is that everyone is identifying a problem in the community, and they are going out to solve it. They are going out. If it's problem in education, they are coming out with manuals to solve it. If it's problem with healthcare, they're going out to solve it. If it's problem with if it's problem with maybe fatherhood, they are going out there to solve it. So it's like every single problem that every single person, not just the pastor alone, not just a select people, not just the leaders of the church, every single person has been trained, in fact is ingrained in them. It's like they cannot do anything else but to do something. So it has become, it's now become you can even say, it's now become the culture of the church. It's become natural for the church. Okay, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing. What are you doing? This is what I'm doing. What are you doing? This is what I'm doing. And then the funny part is that pastor has many people and everybody around him are actively doing something. So it's not that everybody is
pastor's name is not there. Church money is not there. Pastor is not even aware of some of these things because the culture has taken over.
They are owning it. It is something that they own. They are passionate about it. To the point that when we went to the rehabilitation center, that Pastor Sunday was not there. It was someone else that was just, and you could see the passion in them. You could see the fire on the inside of them, the pride they have in what they are doing, the excitement they have in what they are doing. That every person has found something that they are doing, and they derive satisfaction.
And I don't give them money. Church doesn't give them money. I don't give them money.
Yeah, church doesn't give them money. They just go out and they are doing it. And as people are coming in, they also are now going out and doing the same thing. So that's how that almost like I think he said 30% of the church were able to form the government of Kyiv.
30% of the parliament.
Yes. So that is the concept that we need, that needs to come here, and that's what I'm trusting God by. I'm trusting that I will be able to bring that to this part. That I, as a pastor, when I came back from Ukraine, like in America has a drug problem. So I feel that. So I know that I shouldn't just limit myself to just the preaching on Sunday or teaching on Tuesday Bible study. That I should also go in and be a solution. That God wants to use me to be able to bring a solution to the drug problem of America. That we should be able to see. We should be able to see that. We should be able to see that there are solutions that we can solve. That even some of us as pastors, God can use us to bring solutions to the problem of Nigeria. It is now after reading this book, I saw that it is true. A pastor, you can be a pastor and bring solution to the problem of Nigeria. Before you would think that this is not the work of a pastor. A pastor, how can a pastor be bringing? So how can a pastor change Nigeria? But now it's like that wow, that you could have a calling to change a nation. You can have a calling to instigate, to provoke there to be changed.
Not just that everybody is going to do it.
Yes, that's the right word. You are the one to bring that change. When you read this book, you will see yourself as the one that God has raised, as the one that God has placed the desire to bring the change to that nation. You will see that you will begin to see problems around you. And you yourself will rise up to go there and solve that problem. Instead of sitting down in church waiting for people to come with their problem to you, you are going out of the church looking for a problem to solve. So I believe that if we can develop, if we can break away from that stereotype that we are just relegated to just inside the church. Let's just pray for the community. Let's just pray for the government. Pray for these. Instead of blaming the government, every time you talk to someone in Nigeria, they say, "Hey, it's the problem of the government. The government is the problem. They're not doing what are they doing with the money." But instead of you rising up yourself and saying, "You know what? God wants to use me." Listen, God is not going to come down from heaven. We are His hands and feet. It is God that wants, you are the God carrier. So it's you that is going to carry God. It's you and I that is going to carry God into that place to affect the change.
Just like in Ukraine, people don't get saved to become church members. What did you see in Ukraine? People get saved to go back to where they're coming from and become revolutionary. Is that what you saw in Ukraine? Or people are just coming to become church members? Or they were...
No, in Ukraine, people are not just coming there to hear how good the sermon is. They are not just coming there to hear how wonderful the music is. They come there, yes, they come there, they get saved, they get equipped. That the church should be a place, and that is another thing I learned, that the church should be a place where people get equipped. That the training that you did not get in your family, the training that maybe you didn't get in in your school, that you get it in the church. Like for instance, maybe in your family they didn't train you how to make money work for you. They didn't train you how to make money work for you. In the schools, they will never train you how. They'll train you how to work for money. So therefore, in the church, they should train you how to get to the place where money works for you. For instance, DSA was able to raise 200 millionaires in his own church. So the church is supposed to be equipping people and now sending them out so that they can now go out and affect their world. And that as people are now coming back, they are coming back with testimonies of how they were able to affect change in their sphere of affect change in their culture. But so in Ukraine, what they do is they impact people and they send them out. And as people coming in, they talk to them, they impact them, send them out. So the concept is not for them to just stay in the church. But what we need to break away from is sending people out to do what God has placed in them to do. So we need to understand, have a clear understanding what true success really is, and then not be moved because of how many people are in our pews. Many of us, this is a really big. For me, I used to view myself as success. Even though successful because of how many people are in my church. But it's not until recently that I really saw that, wow, it's not about how much people you have in your church. It's about you sending them out. That if you don't send them out, you have failed. So because in this book I've learned,
God brought them to you so that you will become the ladder and the bridge that through which they will get to where God created them to be. They were sent to the earth for a purpose. They were created to do something. So God brought them to you to the church so that you will lead them, take them by the hand. So therefore, you are supposed to judge your success by how successful you are in helping everybody leave their pews to go and actually fulfill that mandate that God created them for. God didn't create anybody to come and sit in the pew now.
I never saw it like that. I thought that you just come, hear the word, and you go out. But we are supposed to come to equip them to go. We're supposed to send them out. We shouldn't, as pastors, be angry when your members don't come to church
on Sunday
during the week,
or even on Sunday,
or even sometimes on Sunday.
Because what is more important for him to come and sit in church on Sunday and be listening to you, where it could be affecting 1,000 people doing his own project, or doing solitude, or carrying out a particular assignment, affecting people. What is more important to the kingdom of God?
But because also there's also some things that will require you to be at certain places on a Sunday. So we shouldn't make Sunday as a place where a Sabbath where we must all come together and pray and praise God. Not saying that is wrong. Not saying that we should abandon that. Is good, but that should always be a place for us to come to. It shouldn't be at the absence of us truly doing what God has placed in us to do. Before, I used to be the pastor that if you don't come to church, I will call you the next day and find out why didn't you come to church. That is like they have committed a sin. It's not until now that I know that, wow, so I am wrong in mandating that they must come to church by all means. Because I remember the first time I heard you say that about the topic of solitude, that you told that people were challenging you in solitude, and then the pastor was saying, but what about if they can't do solitude on Sunday? And then me too, I was like, they can't do solitude. How can they do solitude on Sunday? At least they can come to church and do solitude on Sunday. But not knowing that you are emphasizing personal relationship. That is not really about church. Now, it's not that we're against church. It's not that you're against church, but the emphasis should be on God. The emphasis should be on relationship with Him. That is what should be, and that's what should be. Now, the church should help people to develop that relationship with God. The church should not replace. The church should not replace them having a relationship with Him. The church should emphasize relationship. The church should emphasize your calling. The church should emphasize you going out. So when you read this book, you have a clear understanding that it's not about people coming together on a Sunday to make you feel good or to make ourselves feel good. It's us coming together to understand that I am sent into the world. That every single one of us are sent into the world. And that when we truly do what we are sent, I even believe that our churches will not be empty.
Just like me. I am sending, yes. The more I send out, the bigger the church is becoming.
Yes.
Still be able to build the largest church in Europe despite sending them out.
That it's not about keeping people in. That the more you send out, the more God will send in.
Because they are influencing more people. You know, the strategy is this. For example, I have 10 people. These 10 people have taught them to take and conquer their sphere of influence. But the greater focus is not on the 10, but on the 1 million that is in their sphere of influence. So by the time it goes to that sphere of influence and influence maybe not 1 million, but 1,000, out of that 1,000, 10 people will come. By the time he influences 50,000, out of that 50,000, 50 will come. He doesn't need to evangelize. He just needs to demonstrate Christ. By the time he demonstrates Christ, they come automatically.
So if you go, with this concept, if you go to Pastor Sunday's church, it's not empty; it's full. So it's to let us know that we shouldn't. And the thing is that we claim too much ownership on people. We need to release them to do what God has placed in them to do, and God will always send others. And then you just keep doing it, and God will just send others. You know, because I believe this is the reason for many pastors struggle. This is the reason for many church breakup. This is the reason for many the challenge that the church is facing that is not really being relevant in the culture of today. That we have boxed ourselves in, we have kept ourselves in, and we are keeping the world out. And we are leaving the world to solve problems that God wants us to solve. That we are the light of the world. We're not the light of the church. God has not called us to be a light in the church. God has called us to be a light in the world. That it is important for us to cure this ignorance that we all have.
So now, what I want you to talk to me now on the emotional level. What were your emotions just experiencing this dimension of ministry and seeing layer upon layer all the things you have done wrong in all these years of pastoring, and just seeing this new information, just seeing this new mind-blowing, shocking revelations of how these things were supposed to be done? What were the emotions that were, what were the things coming through your mind about yourself, about other people, about the body of Christ? What were just the feelings, the emotions?
My emotions was a feeling of I felt like I failed. I felt a sense of that the 10 years of pastoring was not, it wasn't really maximized. It wasn't as maximized as, so I felt a sense of failure. I felt a sense of excitement in a way that I have contacted something. You know, I have a new perspective. That even though, yes, the past 10 years, I didn't do it the way that it should be done, but I also have a sense of excitement, a sense of optimism, a sense of hope that if I can cure my ignorance, if I can really deeply put this deep in the inside of me, that it becomes part and parcel of me, that I can truly get to the place where I can effect real change. So in one sense, I had a sense of failure in not equipping them to be able to go out into the sphere of influence, to be able to affect a change of culture. I felt a sense of failure that all those times I was complaining about how many people are in my church. I was complaining about those people that didn't come to church. You know, I scolded people for not coming to church. You know, I felt a sense of, in fact, I had to repent. I said, Lord, forgive me for always complaining. Forgive me for always talking negatively about those that don't come to church regularly. So I felt a sense of, and also I felt a sense of being excited that yes, I contacted something different. That even though I've passed for 10 years, that I'm still able to go back and teach and instruct and help them. Maybe by sending your book down there to help them to understand that, listen, this is the way we should do it. This is how we should do it. So in one sense, I was sad. In one sense, I had to ask God to forgive me for my ignorance. Because the truth is that I just didn't know. It's one thing if you knew and you didn't do. But I didn't know. I thought that this is the way to do it. So I was able to identify that, no, this is not the way to do it. Now this is the way to do it. So now I'm plugging myself in. How do I do that? By, for instance, reading this book, attend HMT, listen to Pastor Sunday's many. If you go on Pastor Sunday's YouTube channel, there's many thousands of materials on equipping you. So I've made a point that right now I want to equip myself, so I will no longer be ignorant. So I will be fully equipped, so that as when it's time for me to pastor another church, that I'm able to understand that it's not about how many people are in my church, it's about whoever God sends my way, I'm sending them out. And then they are being fruitful, they are bringing fruits of the kingdom, and then we are duplicating it over and over and over. So it is also a sense, but also it's driving me to understand, it's driving me to understand, it's driving me to have a clearer understanding, to become a better pastor, to become a better pastor, to become a better at releasing people to what they are called to do.
Now, but you know, many people who come here and listen to this gospel of the kingdom message, many of them get frightened because they say, first of all, my denomination will not understand me. Number two, all my colleagues, all my friends, all my pastor colleagues, I am going to be isolated. My world is collapsing. My world is falling apart. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose my life. I am, you know, I'm in trouble. How do you cope with that? What do you tell those kind of people?
You know, like I said, this type of teaching it's a total break from the way we have done things. Just like, for instance, you know, like I said, on Sunday, you don't have to, it's not compulsory for you to go to church every Sunday. To some people, even for me, let's be honest, that one is hard. Because we have equipped Sundays to Sabbath. That's very important for us to keep the Sabbath holy.
But Jesus had said that he is the Sabbath.
Yes.
Which means be in him. It's not, he said, you know, some honor days, some don't honor days, you know, don't judge anybody, because he is the Lord of the Sabbath. So you have to be in him.
In him.
Once you are in him, you are in Sabbath. Not in a certain day, but every day.
Yes, Jesus is our Sabbath. You know, but we need to have a clear, you see, the thing is, I feel that we need to have a clearer understanding, and I'm hoping that this will be, this is an ongoing discussion, because we need to have a clear understanding, just like you said, what Sabbath is. Sabbath is not just relegated to a Sunday. It's not relegated to a day. For me, I go to church. For me, I go to church every Sunday. If you want to go to church every Sunday, go to church every Sunday. But the emphasis should be going out and affect a change. That's the emphasis of this book. The emphasis should be going out and bearing fruits of the kingdom. So if you're the type that believes on Sundays, okay, fine, go out, have your Sunday. But on your Sunday, equip your people, equip your members to go out and be relevant, to go out and effect a change.
But how do you deal with what the question I ask you is, how do you deal with that fear of, accepting this thing because you are afraid of what your denomination will do to you, what your family, your wife might not agree, especially your colleague, your pastor colleagues. How do you deal with that one?
The truth of the matter is this: you cannot please God and please man. You have to come to the place where you decide, who are you going to please? The truth of the matter is, one of these days, we are all going to stand before Jesus. And we're going to give accounts. So the people that you are trying to please, they are not going to be there. It is you and him. So he is the one that sent you. So you are not supposed to try to please any denomination. It is important for you as a believer to take your stand and to stand for what you believe. Yes, people, listen, don't let people impose their own beliefs on you. There's a place in this book that says that we should train everyone to discover God for themselves. You need to discover God, not the God of your pastor. We need to stop quoting our pastor. Now, this is not just something I just read in a book and I'm going to run with. I see it as something that I can implement in my life so that I can fulfill the reason why I'm here. Because the ultimate purpose is not just we go to church every Sunday. The ultimate purpose is that you are fulfilling the reason why the master called you to be here. So you are not called to please anybody. You cannot please man and please God. It is up to you to make the decision. For me, I've decided I want to please God. I don't want to please any pastor. I don't want to please any friend. I don't want to please anybody. I want God to be pleased. So it should be your desire of every single believer that I want to please God. The truth of the matter is, many people in church today are working to please pastors. Working to make sure their pastor is happy. But listen, your pastor can be happy, but what about God?
Ooh.
Your pastor can say you are so faithful, you are faithful, you are committed to the vision. But what about God? Listen, the most important thing is in your life is your relationship with God. What is God saying to you? Not what your pastor is saying to you. So we need to break away out of that fear of what people will think, what people will say, or how would they take it. You need to go after what God is saying to you. Jesus said, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church. So if you have a ear, you need to hear what is God saying. Not what has been done before. Not what we have been doing. What is God saying now? Because the truth of the matter is, what we are doing now is simply a trickle down of what they knew in the past. So what they know in the past, they were simply doing what they know. I was doing simply what I know. But if I know something, if I discover a different way of doing things, and then I now need to incorporate that in my life, that God has called us to go ye into all the world. The truth of the matter is that we have not gone into all the world. The truth of the matter is that we are simply we have boxed ourselves in, and we are not as effective as we should be.
Someone is writing here, DSA, please, for Christ's sake, come and take me away for just 2 years. Or if possible, come and take 10 or 20 of us to Ukraine. For 2 years. So that when we come back, things it will be changed. Where are you? Where are you based? If you have, if you have a Nigerian passport and you are based in Nigeria, it's more difficult because these Ukrainians, they don't give Nigerians visa. But we actually need people to come and help me because people here in Ukraine don't speak English. We have limited people who speak English. So we need English speakers who will come and live with me and join our team. So if you want to join our team, write to me. My email is vip@godembassy, one word, godembassy.org or pastor@godembassy.org. Let's come over. Come over. If you are free and you can move over here, why not? Go ahead. Okay, so you were more interested in pleasing God. That is what prevented you from falling into that trap of fear that I don't want to lose everything. I don't want to lose my acquaintances and my friends and things like that. Or what about, some people even say, what about if my church will not understand? Because they are used to, people are coming to church to gyrate and to cool and to chill. And if I begin to push them to go and do something, I don't want to lose people. And they will go to other churches and things like that. So a lot of fears is really making people to come against this teaching.
Yeah, a lot of fear is making you, I feel like anytime there's change, there's always a sense of fear of, will I lose people?
Yeah.
Or will I, but I believe that, I believe that there comes a time, like for myself, is there a sense of fear of, what are people going to say? Or what are people going to think about me now? But I've come to the place, which every person should come to the place, that I need to please God, not any man. Now, so you probably say, well, how can I bring this thing to my church? I believe that, I'm not saying that you should just go and just begin to lambast and make changes overnight. Take time and bring it in subtly. Use wisdom on bringing it. If you are in a church and you have been doing it one way, just begin to have a series of messages take some of DSA's messages and begin to do series on them, series by series, because as they are hearing it, because people are formed by what they are hearing. The truth of the matter is that all those years I've heard this is the way of doing it, I've saw that as the way of doing it. So you as a pastor, the way to do it is to do it subtly through your messages. Do more teachings on the kingdom, the responsibilities of the believer, your responsibility. Teach on the 7 spheres of influence. So do those things. Listen to some of DS's messages. So it's not that we are saying that just go right ahead and make wholesale changes. No, you can introduce it little by little, encouraging people, go out, make change in your sphere of influence. We must break out of the 4 walls and we must affect a change in every sphere of society. So I believe that when
yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. So I believe that first of all, you can't live a life of fear. You must make up you must make up your mind that, listen, I can't fear man. It's either you fear man or fear God. If you can't say you fear God and you fear what man will say, or you can't say that you fear God but you fear what your organization will say. The truth of the matter is that it is you are sent here on earth not to please an organization. We are sent here to please the one that has enlisted us, the one that has called us. So our focus should be on pleasing the one that has called us. And the truth is this: when you decide that you want to please the one that has called you, you are going to offend people. People are going to get offended. During the time of Jesus, people were offended. So people are going to be offended when you are doing what God has placed in you to do. So it is you that must make up the decision. Is it, do I want to fear what my organization will say, or do I want to fear the God that has called me?
Beautiful.
Do I want to honor the God that has called me? Do I want to obey the God that has called me? And I believe that when you come to that place, it will be easy for you. And I believe that when you come to that place, God will give you the wisdom. God will give you the strategy, the idea of how you can go about it. So it's not like going there, change everything overnight, tell people, no. It's introduce it little by little, little by little, little by little. Before you know, within time, people are now, the church is now being formed to go into the sphere and bring change to their culture.
Now, what will you say about this book, the final thing, before we go about this book? What would you like to say, finally, to pastors and even clergy, to members, to everybody watching now? What will you tell them about this book?
I'd like to encourage every pastor, every church member, everyone that desires to make impact in their world to go and get a copy of this book. This book will open your eyes to see a better and a more efficient way of doing God's work. This book will move you from the place of always maybe preaching just the gospel of salvation to the place where you start preaching the gospel of the kingdom. Because the Bible says that we should seek it. There's no place in the Bible that says seek ye first the church. It says seek ye first the kingdom of God. So it helps you to shift to a more effective way. It helps you to have a clearer understanding of what true success is. It helps you to understand that you can bring a change to the city wherever you are pastoring right now. You can bring a change, or even in your place of work, or even it can help you also to understand that my role as a pastor is to help the people around me to identify their spheres of influence. So it helps you to cure the ignorance that we're facing, so that we can have true. We are praying. I watched one of your videos. You said that you don't believe in praying for revival. And if you read this book, you too will not believe in praying for revival. Because you know that through this book, true revival can be birthed in your city. True revival can be birthed in your nation. So I'd like to encourage everyone, every pastor, please. And it's not just a book just for pastors alone. It is important for you to understand that you, as a worker, you are a minister. And what is a minister? A minister is someone that's called to serve. So that you and I, we are all called to serve a specific sphere of influence. That you should no longer allow yourself to be locked up in the four walls of a church. That you should go there and solve a problem. That whatever is inside of your heart, don't let it be buried by the title of a pastor of a pastor, but go out and bury yourself in the calling that God has placed in you to do. So please, everyone, get a copy of this book. You can go on Amazon. You can you can type in Pastor's Calling, also Pastor Sunday, and you will see all his books. Get this book, this particular book. This book can be a Bible study. You can use it for a Bible study. This book, you can use it for your workers training. This book, you can use it. So for me, once I start my church, I'm going to use it as a training manual. And it's not only that, it's my own personal manual to always refer. And it's not just a book that you read once and you're done. It's a book that you must continue reading and reading and reading until it's formed, until this precept is formed in you. Then when you practice this principle, you will find that you are truly succeeding in the work that God has placed in your hands.
Beautiful. Now, of all my books are on Amazon, just like Pastor Niran has said. And if you are on Kindle Unlimited, you can actually read this book for free. So you can read it for free if you're on Kindle. If you're not on Kindle, you can buy it on Amazon. Or if it's too expensive on Amazon, or my books might be expensive on Amazon, go ahead and write to my office. And the way to write, where to write to is DSS Books, one word, DSS Books. Not just DSA book, no, DSS book, all one word, DSS Books at gmail.com. DSS Books at gmail.com. Now, people ask this question sometimes because we don't know when you are going to be back with us. I have two more questions for you before you go. Yes. Number one question is, what are the other books you have read? And number two question is, since you've been to Ukraine, people are finding, what is it like? What was your encounter with Pastor Sunday, your first encounter? But before then, somebody is asking, when is the HMT? The HMT is coming up in April, from the 1st or 2nd to the 7th of April. You can come earlier than that. and stay longer than that. So just go to my blog, sundayadelajablog.com. Sundayadelajablog.com is one word of the sundayadelajablog.com/visit. So that's how you could join. You could register for the training for the HMT that is coming up in Ukraine in April. And yeah, so those are the questions. What are the other books you might want to mention, or maybe you could start with your encounter, your first encounter, your first interaction with Pastor Sunday.
Okay, my first interaction with Pastor Sunday. You know, I didn't when I came to Ukraine, I didn't know what to expect. You know, because you know the type of the pedigree of Pastor Sunday, all he has been able to accomplish. But when I came to Ukraine, what I encountered is that Pastor Sunday is very down to earth. He's very, very warm, very loving, and very accessible. That is easily accessible. That to the point that, for instance, someone like me is doing a review of one of his books. It's to let you know that the Pastor Sunday he's very lovable, and what I really like about Sunday is that he loves people. I've never met any man or woman that loves people, that believes in people, that wants to empower people, that wants to help people. I mean, on that week alone, when people will just share this what's on my heart, and DSA will just, okay, I want to help you. DSA is ready to help, ready to empower in any way. Like he's so selfless in letting himself be available in empowering everyone, that he wants everyone to become a world changer, that he wants everyone to be a revolutionary. Like I've never met a pastor that's interested in everyone's success. That everyone there that if he had the will to do it, he would do it for you. So that's what I got on Pastor Sunday, and I encourage everyone to go to HMT. Until you have gone to HMT, this is what my take. Until you have gone to HMT, you have not really heard that Pastor Sunday yet. Until you have heard, it's good to hear him on Facebook Live, but until you have gone to HMT, you have not really, you don't really know the scope of what you are listening to. For me, I'm not going this April, but I'll be there in July. But everyone needs to make it a point to go and be a part of it. Put whatever thing that is troubling you or not allowing you to go, and just go and be a part of it. And trust me, what I'm saying will come to light. You will see a different way. You will see the way Pastor is, and not just him, even his whole team. Very warm, very loving, and it was a family affair, family atmosphere. You know, so I had, to tell you the truth, I've told everybody since I came back, I had the time of my life. That was the greatest trip I've ever taken. That was the greatest, that was the best, aside from me giving my life to Christ and me marrying my wife, that was the best decision I made at this point in my life. So I want to encourage everyone, get ready, go. If you can go in April, if you can't go, there's also in July. You can go and be a part of there. And yes. And the books I've read Church Shift. I've read Church Shift. And I believe that I had it here. Oh, it's not here. But I've read Church Shift. I recommend that when you read this book, you should read also Church Shift. Because I believe that those two go hand in hand. I've also read the kingdom. I've read that book.
The Kingdom Living Life.
That is the most rich, that is the most powerful book I've ever. The Kingdom Driven Life. That book, those three books to me work hand in hand. So you need to read these three books. These three books you need to read together. It helps you to understand. It helps you to understand the kingdom, that we are supposed to go out. We're supposed to take the kingdom out wherever we go. So I encourage you to read these three books. And don't just read them once. Read them over. Like for instance, I've read all those three. Now I'm going to go back to read the Kingdom Driven Life. And I'm going to, because a lot of these books, you may not get everything at once because it's so loaded. So I'd like to encourage you, everyone, to get this book. I've read that one. I've read also Money Will Make You Rich. I've read How to Reclaim Your Lost Years. I've read No One Is Better Than You. I've read I've read How to Secure Your Financial Future. So those are the books I'm reading. And the next one I'm going to read is What to Do with Your Time. So these materials that DSA is pulling up are materials you don't. The truth is, we don't hear it anywhere. You can equip yourself so that you can go out and bring change to wherever sphere of influence you believe God is leading you to. So I'd like to encourage everyone, get these books. Go on, just like DSA said, go to DSA Books, write him and say that you would like to get these books, and they can get it shipped out to you, or you can even get them. Also, yes, I read also the Jesus You Never Knew. The Jesus You Never Knew. So get these books, and even me, I'm working on becoming a distributor here, so that I can begin to distribute the books in New York and wherever in the surrounding area.
And, for people in Nigeria, they will see the telephone number of Shioma there. They can get to Shioma and get the books or on Okada Books. Well, Pastor, I'm coming back in 15 minutes again to be online. But this one, some people said your program today has been one of the most powerful ones. So thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's powerful, powerful. You really did a good job on that book. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Change, transform man. Everybody is saying that all of Nigerian pastors need to listen to you.
They need to.
They said they need to listen to this your interview. Yeah. Yes.
Thank God. Yes. Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Peace.
Blessings.
Blessings.